ఇవన్నీ కామన్ అంటే ట్రీట్‌లని అప్పుడప్పుడు ఇలాంటి గ్యాప్స్ ఆత్మీయతను మరింత పెంచుతాయి. ఒక్కోసారి అనిపిస్తుంది
Okay, good afternoon again. Welcome back to class. So, share the screen. So, most of the time, you can see that you see this what I have selected. Second, yeah, you can see that I have selected the C programming compiler, and it is GCC compiler from GNU extensions. So, most of the servers that you work on online editors are actually with Linux servers. So most probably you need to start with something like int main and return 0. I will tell you later on why we use this actually. So in this case, what I want to say is that we are in a phase where we want to understand what exactly is a compiler that it is doing and what it actually produces. Let us take into consideration. I told you how we can do a compiler and we will write a program. So let me write a very small program which is really needed. Go for hash include stdio.h. Um, so after that, we had something like, let us see if I try to compile this, what will happen if I write some program int a, int b, int c, sorry, a is equal to 6, b is equal to 7, c is equal to a plus b, and printf percentage d c. I'll tell you why these statements are required, each one by discussion. First of all, when I try to compile, let us see what will happen. I'll remove something like semicolon here. You see clearly what I am doing. I have done some removal of semicolon. In C programming, the comments are like with the double slash, or you can also go for slash asterisk. So the whole lines will become the comments. So you can see that all these things have been turned into green. So you have double slash, and you can have something like I will write removed semicolon. Okay. Now let us try to execute it. So it says there is an error, right? I will also bring out with print. I'm removing F here. So I will say removed F from printf and made only print. Now let us execute this. Let us see what will happen. And you can say that the error has been given like semicolon. Let us add semicolon. Let us see what will happen. Okay. So undefined reference to print. So one thing is it is seeing the syntax. The other thing is it is checking for spellings. So that means let us say what is the compiler's job. Compiler job. First step that we have seen now is to check for syntax and spell checks. Why you need spell checks? Because the functions, whether they are named correctly or not, is very important. If, for example, if you're just writing print, print is recognizable in Python, not in C programming language. So the first step it always looks into is okay. So the first steps that it does is to check for spells. Now you might ask me, how does it performs the spell checks? Okay, I will give you an example. I'll ask you something. Stanna, Emma, home, do, or SUK, should. Okay, so of course, this should be another letter. Let me take into consideration. Yes, it should be this one. Okay, home, you, this, or again O. So we have another thing. Shuk. It is pronounced as you, Shuk. Right. Okay, these are the words I have given to you, and I have asked you to just, you don't know what is what, right? Stanna, Hamma, Aum, Du, or Shuk. So you don't know what is what, and you just want it's your job to verify whether this sentence is correct or not. You don't know what is this language or what, but your job is to perform the correctness. Now, what do you expect from me, and how do you solve this problem? How do you fulfill your duty of correcting this sentence, whether the whole sentence is correct or not? See, most probably the first thing that you check for is to understand whether every spelling is correct or not. What is spelling? Spelling in the sense that if that existent, if that letter is existent, then you will clearly understand that okay, this is part of a language. So then only that spelling is correct. If for example, Hemma is not a part of your English, yes, you understand. Stanna is not part of your English, right? Because you know that language, you know that it is not part. How you know the language? Because you have studied a lot of words in English and never you have encountered this one. And most words are there somewhere where everywhere you can find a meaning for that word, and you don't have a meaning for this word, and hence you don't have the spelling, and hence you can say that it is not found. And when you talk about finding out these words in English, you will say all the words are wrong, and hence the sentence is itself wrong. So how you solve this problem? Can anybody come up with an idea? Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so your job is to correct this sentence. How do you come up with this? You don't know what is that language. So I said it's Swedish language, right? So your job is to correct this sentence. So compiler also doesn't know what is that you have written in the program, but still it checks for correctness. Compiler is not a human too. It never learned C language, you know. It never learned C language. But you have learned C language. You are writing the program. Compiler doesn't write. But compiler checks for correctness. How it does?
So converting to binary.
No, converting to binary, before converting to binary, it has to first check. See, now it did not convert to binary actually. It is trying to check for errors and syntax mistakes, and it gave to us that there is a syntax mistake here and there, and you need to correct it. That's all. So before converting to binary, without wasting the time, it first checks for all the errors that are really
It's from
there.
the ASCII.
No, no. No, leave away the compiler. That's the reason why I'm saying, how do you check that this sentence is correct? Your job is to correct this sentence. What you want from me? So if I have given this sentence to you, my question is, I asked you to correct this sentence. The first question you ask is what? What is your first question that comes in the mind to do this job?
Which language is it? Like if the words actually exist or not.
Okay, that's correct. You might ask me, which language is this? Okay, so I will answer you. This is Swedish. Okay, Sweden. Let us say it is Sweden. Right. So you asked me whether the words are correct or not. No, it's your job to find out whether the words are there in the Swedish and whether this sentence has some meaning or not. So the first question is legal. The 23 lines question is legal. And what could be the other question or that you want from me as a help so that you can perform this job? So anyway, I have given you the hint that it is Swede, a language, and I have given you the sentence to correct it.
Sir, the
But-
letters of Swedish language,
Letter, no, you should not say letters. Okay.
alphabets.
No, not alphabets are like, okay, fine. Okay, that's the second question. Provide me with the, sorry, letters of Swede, right? Next. What is the next thing that you want from me so that you can
Check whether the words are there in Swedish or not.
Yes, check whether the words are there in Swedish or not. Okay. Check whether the words are there in Swedish or not. Okay, fine, that's correct. So how do you check whether the words are there or not? So I'm not checking, you are checking. So what do you want from me to check? What I need to provide? For example, I'm a teacher, right? I'm given a job in Geetam. So if I say that I will teach, but something you need to provide, like a blackboard, a chalk piece, a projector, and a connector for connecting to the projector. These are the things I will ask the management to provide me. And if I have given to you, so these are the questions you asked, but based on these questions, what is the item that you want from me so that you will perform your job of correcting the sentence in line number 21? That word I want, exactly.
A dictionary for checking.
Yes, that's correct. It's a dictionary. It's a dictionary. So now let's go back. So based on the dictionary, you will check whether stanna is there, whether hemma is there, whether om, du, or shuk is there. So actually the meaning in English is stay, home. For hemma, it will be home. And I think very minute, I remember this, but let me take this as an example. You, so for or means it is R, shuk means it is maybe, sorry, sick, maybe it is sick. So stay home when you are sick. So some sentences I know in Swedish. Don't think I am good at Swedish. I am never good at Swedish, of course. And during our stay, during my masters in Sweden, we had this influenza, that is swine flu. At that time, there is a pandemic of swine flu all over the countries. So I have to travel with the mask here and there, and we have to take a shot of injection. Vaccination, and at that time everywhere it is sticked, like for example on doors and walls, so it was continuously seen by us. So of course I always remember what is what everywhere. So that is the reason I have used this as an example. Okay. Anyway, because you know what is English, I cannot provide you a very great example, but I know something like some letters in some words in Swedish. So it will be a good example because you don't know what is Swedish and what each language. So you will definitely come up with your own ideas of how to solve the problem of correcting the sentence. So let us go back. So now you will understand why I write hash include stdio.h. So stdio.h means it's a header file. So it looks like standard input output. So I can say something like stdio, standard input output. The std means standard. So the standard input output which carries the printf, scanf, and their definitions. So for example, if you don't give this one, let us check out the same example here. Vi add.c. So I never write hash include. Let us see whether it will execute or not. I don't know whether it might help me to explain you int a, int b, int c, a is equal to 6. So see, every time I'm giving a semicolon here, b is equal to 7 and c is equal to a plus b, because end of every sentence should be like this. I will also tell you why you use percentage %d and all. So return 0. Let us execute. I'm saving it. Okay. So cc add.c. It says, see what it says. Implicitly declaring library function printf with type int. Include the header stdio.h. It says something like you're trying to use a function called printf, found where it is, right? So the meaning here clearly says, it says that please include the standard dictionary so that I can find whether printf is there or not. Okay, so that is there. That is the reason why it says, please provide me an explicit declaration of printf. Now let us have an example. What is this explicit declaration of printf? When I say something like, if I am trying to define printf, something like I will say int c. I'm defining my own function or declaring my own function. Maybe I can say I'm declaring my own function. Okay. So what I'm doing is, we have declarations in C programming. We have direct definitions in Python, but we have declarations and definitions in Python. So now I said that I have declared printf. So it thinks that, okay, printf is declared already. Maybe somewhere else the definition is also defined for printf. What do you mean by definition? Can anybody tell me what is defining a function?
Writing the set of statements which the function needs to be executed.
Yes, correct. So defining a function means every function has set of karma. That means it has to perform some steps at any cost. So in procedural languages, objects are not important, but functions are important. So here in C programming, functions are every important, and each function is called a karma. Karma in the sense, according to me, there is some set of actions that you need to perform before you end. So that is the reason why I call them. So if you want to perform some steps, so the steps are called the definition. So you are given some karma, the definition of a particular name, printf. Now let me execute the same again, compile it. What it says that it is not favoring this one. Okay, let us go back. Instead of this particular one, I will give it like only C. Okay, only C. Let us see what will happen now. It's just a warning, not a big problem here. and it can run now, no problem. So there is no error because we have declared it. Okay, now I will practically explain you what is the meaning of declaring and defining. Okay, let us go back to our original code here. What we say? And I just, so according to us, now we will give hash include stdio dot h. Okay, I can give it like this. Now, if you execute, yes, it is now executing dot slash a dot out. Okay, the answer 13 was given to me after addition. So it is the executable file that is created. This same executable file can also be created like this. You are saying, please convert my object file, that means the binary file, into this one, add. So by default, all programs will land at dot slash a dot out file, and you can see this file here in the existence. Where are we here? Users. Yeah, you can see here a dot out. A dot out is always a file that is common to all the programs. So what happens is the recently compiled and converted binary code will be there in a dot out, whatever program it might be. It is common for all the programs. So a dot out file will be existing only once. But if you want it to be separate for your program, like how we have seen, like for Microsoft Word is one output file, Microsoft OneNote is one output file, Microsoft Excel is one output file. If you want to make it like this, definitely you can do it. Okay, so that is how I am doing it here. That st I am giving, right? And coming back, so now I am giving add. So now how to execute? Can anybody tell me? Instead of dot slash a dot out, what is our output file name now? It is not a dot out. What is our file name?
Add.
Add. So you can see that add has been created. Have you seen? So for this is specially the output of our program called add.c. So I can simply say dot slash add, and the answer will come as 13. Okay, so I used to have a fun in my home. When my desktop is there, when I try to execute in it, I prepared my own program for shutting down my system, and along with that, I have prepared my own software for library, for my own library in my home. So it's little bit fun for us. So instead of using the start button to shut down, I prepared my own .exe file on my system using Turbo C. So whenever I click on it, the system starts to shut down, because there is a file called shutdown.exe in your system 32 in your Windows. So if you can run that file, that means you can click on this using program itself. You can import in Turbo C, it is allowed actually. You can import some system properties, and using system function, you can actually execute that particular file. You need to give the entire path. So I used to give something like system of C colon maybe slash something program, Windows. I think now your folders might change. It is the old one which I am telling you, where you file all the DLL files, .dll files. You will find this one also, system 32 folder. Sorry, system 32 slash shut shutdown.exe. This file will be there. Simply I used to give this one. So I created the output on my desktop every time. So whenever I want to shut down, I used to double click on it, and naturally that program gets executed and the system shuts down my computer. So this is how we used to have some fun. You can also try it out in your systems if possible, if you have Turbo C and so, but I think it is also possible in GCC compiler or whatever compiler you are using now. I'll also tell you later what compilers we prefer. You can also prefer Turbo C for Windows if you have Windows. You can run the program. So coming back, so I want to explain that there is a difference between declaration and definition. Declare and define. So in C programming, if I say int a, it's called declaration. If I say a is equal to 6, it is coming under definition because I'm defining what is a, what a is holding, and I'm declaring that a is existent and it is an integer. So this is a declaration. This is a definition. Coming to definition of the functions also, if I want to declare add, so I will say int add. I'll tell you why I'm writing int here later on. But now you just observe int comma int. This is called declaration. If I want to define the same function, I will say add of int a comma int b. So now, okay, answer is equal to a plus b, return answer. This is the karma of this add. So this is the definition. See, now I will tell you declare, define. Here also declare, define. Okay, so this is how you are defining it, you are declaring it. Now, why it is talking about declaration? Why didn't it talk about definition? Okay, I will ask you one question. Now you will understand what is a header file, right? There are difference between the header files. Now I will tell you what is a header file. All the predefined header files will contain the declarations, not definitions. Right. I will ask you one question. So your friend has asked you something like a word called call by reference. A word called call by reference. Hey, can you please explain me what is call by, sorry, by reference? Now, you want to show him the definition in the book. How do you approach? My question is, there is index in the book, right? But the index only shows you the, it doesn't show you any word in between a particular book. Okay, so call by reference is not a particular important definition to be mentioned in the index, but it is there in the book. It has its own definition in the book. So what is the approach that you follow to find out whether this word is existent in the book or not, and whether its definition is there, and where is its definition? So what do you do generally? Can anybody come up with your answer that you do daily?
Like we use dictionaries, no sir. Alphabetical order we go in.
So have you seen the start of the book will get index, the end of the book will get glossary? Have you ever seen, have you ever checked for it? Glossary?
Yes, sir.
In
Yes,
that,
sir.
you will find all the keywords, important keywords that are there in the book, and their page numbers. Okay, so when your friend has asked you, hey, whether call of reference is there in this book or not, you will search for that glossary at the end of your book, and if you find that word, you say that, okay, this book contains this one, what do you want? He says that I want the definition. So what you do, you will go to 254 page, which is mentioned, in which page you will have the entire definition and the discussion on call by reference word. Okay, so by this you know what is call by reference. Now the same thing happens. The header files are only holding the declarations. So they will say that printf is declared. Printf is declared. So now the compiler knows that, okay, printf is declared. Compiler doesn't want what is the meaning of printf. What is the definition of printf is not really used by the compiler. it is used by the CPU. So what the printf will do? The printf will actually check stdio.h, the header file, which is like your glossary dictionary, and sees whether the printf is there or not. If the printf is there, it will check. It doesn't need to check actually. This it will pass on to the what we say CPU. Okay, so or it will check where it exactly this printf is located, find it out, and do next what it has to do. I will tell you now. So now you understand what is header file, right? What is header file? What it contains actually? Can anybody repeat it?
Contains
The function
declarations.
declarations.
Yes,
Yes.
function or keyword declarations, whatever it might be. And it also contains where the definition is located, where the definition is located. Now get back. So until now you understood this one, right? So this is the first step it does. It checks for spelling mistakes or it checks for syntax using stdio.h. The next thing is second step. The second step is it now needs to convert your code into binary. Okay, because now it has to push this code to CPU. Okay, it now converts your code into binary. Okay, and okay, let us discuss, like it already converted it. And now if I say that this code is converted to binary, that is zeros and ones, which is understandable by CPU. And after converting this code, now I will name this code as sample.c. Okay, and there is something like sample.o is prepared. So the same way, the file which I have been showing, this is executable file, right? So if I execute this one, you can see that answer comes every time, the 13. The same answer comes every time. So you can also have interactive sessions like using scanf. Every time it asks you to enter the username password. 1 second. Okay, it enters the username password like that, and it executes directly. So this is imagine that it is a .o file. Okay, so now it creates you a sample.o. It's a binary conversion. Okay, it's a binary conversion. Now my question is, if I push this sample.o binary file to CPU, what does the CPU will think about? You know, every time we write main in C programming, because the CPU starts executing from the main function. A simple example, I will talk to you by looking at your face or head. If I talk to you by looking at your feet, what will you think about me? You think he has some psychological problem, right? By looking at your feet, hi, how are you, like that, right? I will talk to you by looking at your face. Same thing happens. The CPU starts executing only from the main. So main is like the captain of your ship. So the CPU starts executing from main, and from there, wherever, whatever function that is called, it will go to that function. So it doesn't go to any other function. It first directly goes to the main, and from there it will execute each step. Now, at some point of time, after reading all these lines, CPU gets stuck. It was astonished. Why it is astonished? Because it doesn't know what to do with some of the statement. Can you tell me which line in your program cannot be executable by CPU and it thinks what to do with this? Is there any idea from your side?
Printf.
Yes, it is printf, because CPU knows that printf is declared. That means there is somewhere the definition of printf. You know, when something is written like this, A, B, C, and you said this one, this is nothing but a function statement. So you have, see, this word is there with open and close parenthesis. So that means it is like function. So it should has a definition. It should have a definition. Let us see if I can find to show you how the printf function will be. Code for printf in C. Own printf function in C. Let us see. I think see, this much lines of code are there for your own printf function. You can see here. So if you can write your own code for your printf, this was written in C itself. For example, it is said, and so you can have these many lines of code, but most probably earlier C languages, the printf is actually written in assembly code. You can see here. Okay, the printf is actually written in assembly code. Nowadays, the printfs can be written in C itself by using some libraries that are available in C programming. So people are writing printf statements, the entire definition of printf in C. So here actually you can see this, you are writing your own printf statement. So that's the reason why he said my printf. So he is writing his own printf here. Okay, and what to do with this printf and everything. The same way the printf is defined somewhere. So remember that when you are talking about converting this entire code into binary without what to do with this printf, the CPU doesn't understand what is this printf function, what to do with it, what karma it has. Without knowing what karma it has, how I make printf function, right? I hope you're understanding what I want to say. So that means the CPU has to even get what are the statements that underlie in printf. So now let us go back to the compiler's job. So what does the compiler do? Compiler converts your code into binary and fetch for various function definitions defines the various function defines and convert them into binary. Okay, so what let us see, there might be some function called printf.c program in your libraries. So when you download the compilers, you can see in Turbo C, if you download your Turbo C compiler, you can see that there is a file called lib or something. This is not a file, it is a folder which will get all the function definitions in the library. For stdio.h, what are the functions that are required, their definitions and all. Maybe it has found out the printf.c program. Okay, so what it will do now, it will also convert the printf.c into printf.o, the printf.c into printf.o, which is again a binary file. Now what it will do now, the next part, it will go back with sample.o plus printf.o as a package and now send it to the CPU. Now what will happen? The CPU goes through each line of your binary code of what you have written in high level, and when it encounters printf, now it has a package along with this attached, right? It will go to printf.o. So we have this package. Now what it will do, it will execute each line of this printf one by one, and after executing it, it again comes back to your code and finally exits. That means your program has been executed. So I think now you understand. So now tell me, how many lines of code will be executed by CPU? Can you tell me now? How many lines of code will be executed by the CPU in this scenario? Answer fast.
Sir, 14 plus the number of lines written for the printf
Yes,
definition.
that's correct. So 14 plus number of lines written for the printf are being executed by the CPU, all in binary. Now, it's okay. It's okay for it. Sorry. Now, my question is, how many lines are compiled by compiler? I think the same answer, right? 14 plus number of lines for printf. Now, this is the answer because the CPU executes the same thing and compiler also compiles all the lines into binary. Of course, the same lines. But now, my task is to reduce the burden on compiler. I want to reduce the number of lines to be compiled. So what can I do? Can anybody suggest me what can I do now? If every time whenever I call a standard library function like printf, scanf, getch, whatever it might be, every time I need to compile and convert every function into binary, it takes a lot of time. So what is your suggestion to do so that I only want few lines of code to be converted? Maybe my code. If I can convert only 14 lines of code, I don't need to convert any other thing. It will be better for me, right? So what is your solution for this?
Sir, we can convert the function into binary and call that function itself, sir.
Yes, that's correct. So most of the time when you download your compilers, they don't come with printf.c. It is not revealed to you. They come with printf.o. So what the compiler makers will do, if they are giving you libraries, they already convert every standard useful function from the library into binary code, and they will attach the binary code with your library. So what the compiler will do, the compiler only converts your sample.c into sample.o, which is your program, and it attaches the already converted binary code. So it doesn't do any compilation. So this is the best part they have done. So in our case, in original case, the number of lines that are converted by your program, by your compiler, not program, is only these number of lines of code. Of course, it is not 14, it should be 13 because this is space. Space will be eliminated. And these are the only lines that will be compiled. So if you come back like this, maybe it should be around 12 lines of code that are actually compiled by your compiler. So remaining things are already converted into binary. So there is no chance for compiler to convert them into binary. Lot of time is saved, right? So in this case, you need to understand that one thing, the compiler does the compilation of your program, and it attaches the already standard functions which are converted into binary to your newly converted binary program. So like what we have done, the sample.o plus your printf.o, and send it to the CPU. The CPU starts executing everything. And this is the reason why we say. Now you ask me, sir, what the header file contain? So I will say header files contain the declares of what we say, the functions and their definition locations. So it also has where they are located. So the location might be printf.o, which is located in your library folder. So that's how it will tell you the locations. So the compiler sees that in the header file, the function is declared, and during conversion of binary, after converting your program into binary, now it will go to the path, find out the printf.o binary file, attach to your code and push it to the CPU. That's what it is happening in the compiler's duty. So what is the third step the compiler will do is it will fetch and attach the library function definitions to your binary code. So this is what happening as a third step. Now you might understand that these are happening for your header files. Now I will, in the next class anyway, I will tell you how to create your user defined header files also. And there you can understand what is the difference between user defined header file and predefined header files. Now let us make all these things into comments and let us try to execute this one and see what is the difference between Python and this. It might take 10 seconds, I think, because it takes some time to compile. So what is the difference between Python and C that you have observed here? Earlier, what do you see in place of the stack and heap in Python? Have you remembered?
Global and local memory.
Yes, global frame and objects. Global frame and objects. Of course, the objects is like your heap is called the object location itself. It's a dynamic memory allocation. Most of the things in stack that are there is in main, in the stack functions itself. All the functions and their local variables are stored in the stack. If you want to use dynamic memory allocation, later on we will tell you how to use it. We can use heap. So I think many a times at the start of the Python class, I have explained you what is stack, heap for C programming when I'm telling you about the memory difference. What is the next thing that you have observed in Python and C programming? I did not run at right. See, the red mark is at fourth line. I did not even see whether the A, B, C are there or not. But why, how this A, B, C has been given in the memory? In Python, until unless I come across this fifth, sixth, seventh line, the ABC will not be created. You can just see the same example. I will do it in Python. So I will select Python 3.6 and you can see that I will say A is equal to 6, B is equal to 7 and C is equal to A plus B and print C. See how easy is Python? So I will try to execute this one. See, nothing has been given. Nothing has been given here, right? So when I am going through, then only that A value, B value, and C are created, and then they are printed. Then how come this happened like A, and it is asking me what is the value that is there? Now let us try to execute this, and slowly you will understand one by one. So A is given as 6. When I come to 8th and 9th line, B is, see, have you seen that it has skipped the 5, 6, 7 lines and directly came to 8th line, right? So let us see. And after adding, the C is given as 13 and next it has come through. Now let us go back and let me take this one. A is equal to 8, right? And I think this we have discussed earlier when we are talking about mutability and immutability. I have told you what is the difference between C and Python. So what do you think exactly? What is happening in C programming? Can anybody tell me? What could be done by the compiler? So during execution, ABC is not created. After compilation itself, ABC is created. Then who is doing the job of allocating the memory for ABC? Any answer from your side?
Compiler.
Yes, it's the compiler. So your next job for your compiler is, the fourth task is to allocate memory for your program, the necessary memory for your program. So compiler looks after what are the declarations that are there, how much memory is required for this program. Now it will allocate the memory beforehand. So before the execution starts, the memory is allocated, not like Python. Okay, that is the reason why if something like if I have written a is equal to 6 and again a is equal to 8, the 6 and 8 are both changed in the same address. Did you remember this? We have discussed in Python. If you say a is equal to 7, a has different ID. If you say again a is equal to 6, a's memory will change. Have you remembered that?
Yes,
That we
sir.
have
Yes,
discussed.
sir.
Yes. So here it is not like that. A has fixed memory, it has the fixed address, and all the values are changed in that address only. There will be no new addresses created for A. Here variables are very important and they are constant. They cannot be changed. Their addresses cannot be changed once they are allocated. Okay. So there the values are important. Here the variables are very important because values are allocated IDs there. Here variables are allocated the fixed addresses and they never change until the end of the program. So this is a small program I have written. You can just look into some of the programs in C and you can practice because you have some introduction on what is hash include stdio.h and how you write the programs. Okay, thank you for listening to the lecture. Bye bye for today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.